Rebecca Trammel of Champions for Compassion. And we're really excited to have you, Rebecca, just to talk about what you're doing in the community and how you're making a difference. So, yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, can you go ahead and just tell us who you are and what you do in the community?
So I'm Rebecca Trammel, and I'm the president of Champions for Compassion, and I'm the lead advocate for community conversations. But today I'm here to talk about Champions for Compassion and what we're doing right now in COVID. So I think my role in the community, if someone's to ask me what's my role, it's to fill in the gap. And a lot of times I seem to pivot, and I pivot quickly. Just because I see a gap. And so the mission of Ruthie Trammel's Champions for Compassion is to remove obstacles to recovery, to promote professional development, remove the stigma of mental illness, and promote and restore hope. And so the reason why we started this was because my mom passed away of ovarian cancer. And when she did, our family decided that we weren't going to let her take all of that potential and all of that compassion with her. And so we decided to continue her legacy. And so most of the time we're giving bicycles and bus passes out through community recovery courts and in Coastal Horizons. But right now we're focusing on restoring hope.
I know you do that in a lot of ways. And I know that you're always like mobilizing and organizing. So I know also that you've been doing that with COVID, and in the beginning you helped with making sure kids didn't go hungry, which is awesome, just making sure that parents that didn't have transportation, so would be able to still get
Operation
food.
Rig and Run.
Yeah, so that was awesome that you were able to do that.
That was fun.
How did that work out? Like, how did that get started?
I'm sorry?
How did all of that
Okay, so well, I heard that school was canceling, and I know that there are some kids who really eat the majority of their food, most of their food at school. So when I know that school is being canceled on a Monday, some of these kids have been hungry since Saturday night. Hunger doesn't wait. You know, it doesn't wait for a plan. It doesn't wait for anything. It just needs to be fed. And so I called and I asked, you know, what would be the plan, and it's going to take a while for them to mobilize the buses, and like the school system is a much bigger boat, and I'm like a motorcycle compared to their big boat. So I immediately started reaching out to Facebook, some friends on Facebook, and said, hey, if I were to want to deliver meals all over New Hanover County, would you guys help me? Immediately, I had an overwhelming response. And I have to say, the church rocked it out. I had 7 zones, and most of those zones were led by a church. Weeks ago, and right now, 4 weeks ago, almost feels like working aggressively to prevent child hunger and food insecurity towards doing something else. But at the very last, like by the end of this mission, we were delivering 2,200 meals a day to over 380 families.
Wow.
And we had 1,100 kids. And, you know, that in 2 weeks from the ground up to create the thing, we even had software. We developed software to do this. And I mean, to God be the glory for all of it, because nobody had to do that. You know, nobody had to like jump out on that limb with me. And I'm just grateful for everyone who did.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when everybody brings their gift, their talent, their time. We can accomplish a lot as a community. So tell us about what project you're working on now for the community.
Okay, Cover Our PEEPS. And PEEPS stands for people with pre-existing conditions, elders, essential workers, and public transportation patrons. Passengers, bus drivers, we want to make sure that you're covered. All of these people groups are people who are particularly susceptible to either contracting COVID-19 or having severe complications should they contract the disease. So if we're right now, my health depends on the health of 230 something thousand other people in my community. If we're only as healthy as the sickest among us, and we have to make sure that we cover our peeps. We have to make sure, I mean, if ever there was a time that Martin Luther King's statement was ever so true, it's now, when he said, we will either learn to live together as brothers or perish as fools. Like, we are all in this together, and I'm only as healthy as the next person.
Right.
So,
I know you've been with a few other groups. I think the Joy Project and the Masks for Heroes. How are you guys all kind of working together on that?
Okay, so it's been great. So we're making cloth masks, high quality cloth masks. We're using quilters cotton, 100% cotton, a very heavy, tightly woven cotton. And then we're putting stabilizer inside of it. And then we have a place for filters in these masks. And this is patterned after the same masks that they'll be using at New Hanover Regional Medical Center, should they run out of N95. So there was a group called Masks for New Hanover Regional Medical Center Heroes. And I basically stole all their ideas, but I didn't really steal them because Mary gave them to me, because we're all in this together. So Mary's been helping me. She had been doing this for 2 weeks before I started doing it. And as far as working with Juana, who's working out of Life Point Church right now, I mean, I wanted to make sure that we had masks for Food Line stores, and we couldn't get them done in a timely manner. So I bought them from her, and she gave me a good deal on it. So that's how we're working together. Like, there's gonna be times when I have masks and somebody else doesn't. There's gonna be times when, I'm gonna have material or something that we can work together to make this work. And that's what we have to do, sharing knowledge and sharing resources.
Yeah. So if a church wanted to get involved in the project of making masks, how would they do that?
So I have a form for volunteers, and I also have a form for orders. So if you know that there are people in your church who need a mask, if they fall into the category of a PEEP, a person who has pre-existing conditions, an elderly person over the age of 60, is an essential worker and doesn't have a mask that's been provided by their employer, and it rides public transportation. If you know people who are PEEPs, we want to make sure they're covered. So send them our way, or take a list, make sure that you get their name and their address and their email address and phone number and the number of masks that they need. And we can take it from there. If you're like a nonprofit leader, if you're a pastor and you're wanting to help us create a list and you're willing to help us distribute them, then hit me up, Rebecca at championsforcompassion.com. As far as volunteers, we're going to need a lot of volunteers. We need volunteers who can help us with sewing, and we also need people who will help us stuff bags, so we can put the masks in a bag with some instructions. And we hope to be putting in some information about how to keep yourself safe during COVID. But we'll see how much we can get to. There will definitely be a mask in there and instructions on how to keep it clean. And the other thing I was going to say, most of all, like, we're looking for donations so that we can pay people to sew. It's at the point now that in order to get the volume that we need people who are dedicated to this project. Now, if you're willing to dedicate 8 hours of your time to doing this a day, and you can crank out 50 masks a day, join my Rockstar team. I will hook you up with stabilizer, everything you need. But we also need to, at this point, in order to get the volume that we need in the time that we need it, we need to start hiring people to do this. And so if you know a person who's a professional seamstress and has a lot of experience and can work fast, send them my way. And also, if you would like to participate by financially supporting us, we welcome that.
Yeah. So how can they do that? What is your website?
You can find us at championsforcompassion.com. You can also find us on ShareGood. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for what you do for the community. I know that it is making a difference. It already has, and it will continue to. And I just pray that more people will get involved so that we can make sure that people are safe. And if they want a mask, they can have access to one. So thank you for joining. And I know that God's going to continue to bless your work.
Thank you, Emma.
All right.